Hi, folks. Hope everybody's okay today. It's good to be with you. Just close that down. Hope everybody's okay today. It's good to be with you, and love to everybody out there. I'm making this video in response to a video by Gary Edwards. Now, I'm not making this video because I want to debate him. I've no interest in the guy. I don't rate the guy. I don't think the guy is that important in terms of debate or intellectual ability. But I don't like smart alecks and bullies. You know, these people who think they're superior than other people because they use big words. And I don't like people who throw their weight around and try to bully other people. So that's why I'm making this video. Because this guy kind of nauseates me and annoys me. But I certainly don't feel threatened by this guy intellectually, and I don't feel that this guy has got anything to offer in terms of debate. But he made a video about me, and it's called Why I Don't Debate, and that was the video, and I'm going to respond to his video. Now, the argument that he's making in the video is basically you have a will, and this will kind of goes off on it sometimes, and you kind of do some crazy things. And he showed a couple of clips. One was where I was literally like screaming at the atheist saying, "You will not win God." And that was the first clip that he showed. And the history behind that clip is when I first started on YouTube, I literally had thousands upon thousands of atheists attacking me. I mean, literally thousands. And I mean, it was a time where I could make a video and there'd be like 2,000 atheists watching. You know, the video that I made on Iron Ra Chicken Boy, within a couple of days, I think it got 1,000 hits. You know, it went skyrocketing. So I mean, it was a time where I had a bigger profile with the atheist community, and I got a lot of stick, a lot of attack by comments. A lot of people were commentating, and most of that was abusive. So when I made my video saying "You'll not win God," and I was all emotional, it's because of the horrendous attacks that I was getting from the atheist community. So that was the first clip. The second clip is he showed me where I took my t-shirt off, and he didn't play the music. If he played the music, it's really funny. You have to play the music to get the feel of the video. The music is Be Happy. And basically I did that for a bit of fun, because the atheist community were just throwing out false accusations, and I was just trying to say, calm down. So then after playing a couple of these clips, his basic argument is, well, you've lost being a pastor, you've lost being an academic when you did those things. No one's going to take you seriously. And you're never going to be a pastor, you're never going to be an academic, etc. And I think that his comments are pretty slimy and pretty below the belt. The first thing is that he's given a misrepresentation of me. I mean, there are literally thousands of videos of me, and many of them are sermons, and many of them are lectures that I've done. I've done lectures on homiletics, lectures on Karl Barth. I've done a variety of lectures, and I've given all my source material, my own research material. And I'm by far, I think, I'm not just saying this, but compared to the atheist community, I'm not saying the Christian community, but if you go to the atheist community, YouTube community, and you compare their work against my work, I'm by far, more than any atheist on YouTube, more I don't know how to put this, but I'm by far the most scholarly YouTube operator when it compared to me and the atheist community. I've given lectures where I've given 15, 20 books, references of my own research that I've done. If you don't believe me, if you go to my lecture on homiletics, on Lollard preachers, that lecture is my own research. Even if you compared it to a seminary professor, it is as good, if not better, than a seminary professor in terms of the research material done. And I'm not just saying that. It's no exaggeration to say that. And when I finish the lecture, if you go at the end of the lecture, I give reams and reams of books that I've researched, that I've read, that I've looked at. And if you compare that lecture to anything Aaron Ra, Thunderfoot, or any top atheist or any atheist on YouTube, nobody will be able to come up to that academic standard. Gary Edwards is not even in the same league. If you compare my bibliography and the research that I've done and that lecture, compare it to Gary Edwards, compare it to Aaron Ra, compare it to any of the atheists that are operating on YouTube, and the scholarly acumen, they're not in my league. And I'm not boasting, but that's a fact. When you can ream off the key books in a scholarly field, and that you've mastered those books in a scholarly field, and you can ream them off as your bibliography because you've read them and because you've mastered that subject, then come and talk to me about academic ability. And no atheist has demonstrated that who operates on YouTube at the moment. Not the popular atheists. I'm not saying the academics are academic atheists who are professional academics in universities, but these YouTubers like Thunderfoot, Aaron Ra, Concordance, Non-Stamp Collector, Matthew Steele, Dan Courtney, you name it, none of them can be compared to me in terms of academic acumen. My lecture on homiletics, Dan Courtney, Matthew Steele, even the New Covenant group, they're not atheists, but even the New Covenant group are not in my league. And I'm not boasting, it's just a fact. Go and listen to the lecture. It's called Homiletics on it's a very dry lecture. You know, it's a very long, dry lecture. So it's a specialist lecture for academics in that topic. I make a more popular lecture called Biblical Preaching. I strip the scholarship down. And that's one example of an area. If you doubt whether I've got academic ability or whether I'm not that I don't have academic training, if you doubt that, you go to Lollard Preachers and compare what Gary Edwards is trying to present about me, and then go and listen to that lecture. Now, you will not enjoy the lecture because it's a long, dry academic lecture for specialists in homiletics. But you compare my lecture to whatever he's done, and there is no comparison. I'm not saying that Gary Edwards isn't smart. He's a smart guy, but he's not as good as he as good as he thinks he is. And when you compare what he's done on YouTube and you compare my lecture, there's no comparison. Compare what I've done to Dan Courtney in that lecture. Compare to Aaron Ra or Thunderfoot, and there's no comparison. I win hands down for scholarship. And that's just one lecture, and I've done many lectures. I've done lectures on Karl Barth, I've done lectures on Bonhoeffer, I've done lectures on Luther, I've done a lot of lectures where I give a lot of bibliography, and accusations that have been made at me that I get my stuff off other apologists. Sometimes I've done videos where I've used other apologists. Many of the times that I do that, I will say, well, I'm using this material, I'm using that material. But I've given many lectures where it's been all my research, and I've done a heck of a lot of research. I recently gave a lecture on missiology. There was a lot of research that went into that you can find on this channel, I think it is. And the list goes on. Go on Samuel Zwemer theological seminary YouTube, and there's loads of lectures that I've done with bibliography. So you know, the first thing is that, you know, that he says I'll never be an academic is completely dishonest, because I am an academic. I've proved that. I've proved that. I have proved it beyond a shadow of doubt in many of my lectures. I have a degree in theology, and I've studied an MA in theology. And if I wanted to, I could go back and finish my MA if I wanted to. But I don't want to. I'm happy doing street preaching. I'm happy doing that. And the atheist community have failed to engage with my scholarship on the resurrection. I had Nadia come, and I did an interview with her, and it wasn't to drill her. I was just asking her questions. Then halfway through the interview, she got onto the resurrection. We got onto the resurrection, and she threw up some arguments against the resurrection. Now you just look at that. It's round about the middle of the interview with Nadia. Suddenly I kick in. I just kick in, and you can see that I know my topic, because I'm coming out with all this. I'm coming out taking Price and Carrier to bits on their scholarship on the resurrection, because she was using that kind of scholarship, and you can see that I know my topic. I was able just to demolish Price and Carrier in 5 minutes while I was talking. I mean, they didn't come on, but I'm just saying she was using their arguments. So that's the first point I want to say with Gary Edwards and the atheist community, that they're completely dishonest. The Magic Sandwich Show, non-stamp collector, pothole, Matthew Steele's a good guy, don't get me wrong, Dan Courtney, but they're all dishonest, because they won't deal with people who have qualifications and are scholarly in a particular area. They won't deal with them. They won't deal with me on the resurrection. They've avoided it like the plague. There's only one atheist who stood up to the mark and debated me on the resurrection, really debated me, and that was John McDropout. There's only one. There was one deconverted man who did it by video, but actually debate me live, John McDropout. And he didn't find it easy. I don't think he found it easy. And I think I pulled him. I think I got the better of him in that debate. I pulled him apart. Yeah, so that's the first point. The first point is that I'm the real deal. I've got more stuff out there of lectures and sermons and videos compared to the atheist that is scholarly and top stuff. Per capita of atheists. There is no atheist out there, whether it be Bionic Dance, No Plum 99. There's no atheist out there on YouTube that can come even near me and say that they have better credentials than me when it comes to my topic. There is no one out there in the atheist community who's operating on YouTube, a popular YouTube channel, that can even compare to me in any shape or form when it comes to theology. And I've proved it by I've given many lectures with reams of bibliography, and the my lectures that I've researched. And you can't take that away from me, and you can do ad hominem attacks about it, but that's just because you're a disgrace rather than actually dealing with me. The second thing is, you'll never be a pastor because I've done silly videos. Well, you know, I think a couple of things there. Number one is I'm a human being, and as a human being, we make mistakes. As a human being, we go through difficult times and we make mistakes. And I think that that's not true, because really at the end of the day, I am a pastor. You see, you either can do the job or can't do the job. And I might have made mistakes, and I might have been weak, and I might have gone through a very difficult time over the last 5 years. But we're all on a journey, and I think the first thing is you can never change what you can never lose what you are if you are a certain thing. If you are a philosopher and you have a nervous breakdown as a philosopher and you do silly things as a philosopher, and then someone turns around to you and says, you're never going to be a philosopher, because let's imagine the philosopher is at Oxford and they're an academic philosopher, and they have a breakdown because their wife's left them, and they get drunk and they leave their philosophy department, and a smarmy academic like Gary Edwards turns around and says, you're never going to be a philosopher again. Well, I'm sorry, the guy is a philosopher. You know, you might not think that they're important because they're not in an academic institution. That person, by their very nature, by their very training, is a philosopher. And who are you to say that that person who's gone down and made a mistake, who are you to say that that person can't come back up and be a philosopher again in an academic institution? And who are you to say that people cannot look at that philosopher and say, you know what, if I went through that, I would have probably done the same. So Gary Edwards' comment lacks any humanity, it lacks any compassion, it lacks it lacks a misunderstanding that you are what you are. I am a pastor. When I trained as a pastor, I went to be with 4 pastors, worked alongside them. I did a 4-year degree in theology and pastoral care. I trained with 4 ministers. And the main work as a pastor is 2 things, really, is preaching the word of God and visiting people. And even in my darkest days, even in my struggles, I've never lost those gifts. Those gifts have never left me. So I am a pastor by nature, and nobody can take that away from me. So you can never say that I will never be a pastor again in a church. I'm already on the leadership team, and the pastors of the leadership team are already talking about wanting to encourage me to be a pastor in the future in that church. So you can't say things like that. That's wrong to say things like that about any human being. You know, if someone's a nurse and they have a breakdown and they lose being a nurse for a while, and they might do crazy things because they've had a breakdown, doesn't mean to say they can't be a nurse again. Doesn't mean to say that they can't get healing and go back to nursing again. The same with a solicitor, the same with a teacher, the same with any profession. So for you to say that is really shows the mentality you are, the quality of man you are, that you're not a quality man. Because a quality man, a person of real quality, whether an atheist, even an atheist of quality, or a quality man would say, you know what, Jay's got potential. Jay has done these lectures. Jay obviously has these gifts of pastoring and preaching. Jay's obviously been on a difficult run. You know what? I'll have a few debates with him, just get him back up, just give him that gravitas and encourage him and to feel that, you know, he's got a purpose and that these gifts are valuable. That's what a person of quality would do. They wouldn't exploit the person's weakness. They wouldn't exploit the person's failure, like Alex Borton has done with me, and like a number of some atheists. However, you know, some atheists recently have shown some quality. They have shown some, even though I find it hard that they support some atheists, but I find their behavior abominable. Some atheists And even though I've called these atheists two-faced, which I think they are because they won't speak out against these other atheists, they do have some quality about them. They do seem to have a more humane approach, and I do respect them for that. And I am sorry for calling them two-faced, but I feel that it's so important that they need to speak out. So there are people out there, there are atheists who see beyond that. They know what's going on. They know where that person's at. Decent atheists know where it's at with me. They know, they can see that, and they can see potential. They can see something deeper than the more superficial atheist who wants to score points and say things like Gary Edwards has said. There's nothing more to say, really. I think, Gary, that to be honest, Gary, I feel that you are a smart guy. You're very smart, but I do feel that you have an exaggerated belief about your smartness. I think you have an exaggerated belief about your scholarly ability in philosophy. I feel that you hide behind big words. You hide behind a facade of a personality on YouTube, and I feel that you're hypocritical in that you hang around people who are certainly not academics and are certainly giving you a bad reputation. The comments that you make towards people under their videos are often very rude and unacademic. You've never been tested. You've never been tested in a good debate where someone knows their subject and can debate you, and you've never been tested. So all that you're doing at the moment is just pretense, and that's what I feel about you. I just think it's pretentiousness, that you're just pretending to be something that you're not. And it's the same with Fiona Roberts. She's been challenged to debate. She won't debate anybody. She won't debate Arcane. It's the same with Aaron Ra. He won't debate true empiricism. And there's no reason why you should. There is no reason why you should not debate these people. There's no reason why Fiona Robertson should not debate Arcane. There's no reason why you should not debate me on the resurrection, you being a philosopher and all. There's no reason why Aaron Ra should not debate true empiricism. But what you'll do is you will take little clips of people, perhaps when they're at their weakest point, and misrepresent people, or you'll ignore people. That's what you do as atheist groups, and character assassinate that Christian apologist and make them look bad, doing Google Hangouts and videos about them, tell their reputation's just in the mud. That's what you did to Richard Raspberry. The guy won a debate with Brett Keane. He won a debate on evolution against Fiona Robertson and against someone else. They absolutely destroyed Fiona Robertson, and the atheist community came out and absolutely tried to bury Richard Raspberry's reputation with the most horrendous accusations and most horrendous stuff that went on. What you did to that guy as an atheist community was absolutely disgusting. It was horrendous. And that's all you can do, and that's what you tried to do with me. You tried to sully my reputation by throwing out false accusations, by allowing atheists like Alex Bolton to continually make character assassinations of me, and cyberbullying me in effect, where you all ganged up on me for weeks on end and went after me. And you and you were involved in this. You were part of it. You were part of these people. You were in Birmingham, where you went to Alex Borton's house, and you were with Fiona Robertson, Cliff Jumper, with Jim Gardner, all these people that came after me and character assassinated me and traumatized me, and I forgive them. It's all forgotten. I'm not, you know, I don't hold any bitterness, and I wish all these people well. But you, as an academic, so-called, were involved with that. You were part of that. You were part of the rat pack that went after me over the last 6 months to 8 months. Captain Awesome Crew, Lenator, all them people. The all Joker, there were loads of them that all went after me. And you were part of it, Gary Edwards, making explicit and all the rest, making accusations up against me. And you were part of that. You were with them in Birmingham and plotting, and you were part of it. And that is not the behavior of a top academic in philosophy. Now, I don't doubt that you've got a PhD in philosophy, and I don't doubt that you're smart. But I do doubt this, that you're honestly not in my league. You've not got the character that I've got. You've not got the tenacity that I've got. You've not got the courage that I've got. You've not got a firm grasp of truth that I have. And yeah, you're not in my league, mate. You're not in my league. The fact that you have a couple of thousand subscribers, and the fact that you've had to make a video where you put a couple of silly clips of me on, the fact that you've done that shows how you as atheist community find it very difficult to deal with me. Because if I was in the same place, I would just ignore you. I would just ignore you. The fact that Alex Borton keeps having to make videos about me, a guy who's debated Dustin Seegers, I mean, to me, that Dustin Seegers is the man. To me, Dustin Seegers is the man to debate. If you want to if atheists want to debate someone, Dustin Seegers is the guy. I love that guy. And Alex Borton's debated him. He's debated Seitan Brugengate, who's become a household name amongst many evangelicals. And what does he do? This guy who's debated some of the top Christian apologists on our side, what's he do? He keeps making videos about me. Why does he keep making videos about me? Why is it the atheist community are fascinated with me? I tell you why. Because I think, number one, for all my ups and downs, you know that I'm real. You know that I actually believe this stuff, that I believe the Bible, I believe Jesus. And that fascinates you. Because you know that I believe it. You know that I'm not trolling. You know that at the end of the day, this guy believes the Bible. He believes in Jesus, and he believes in the cross. He believes Jesus died and rose again. This guy believes it. That's the first fascination that you have with me. The second fascination that you have with me is that no matter what you've thrown at me, no matter what crap you've thrown at me, and you've thrown everything in your armory as atheist, you've done everything that you can think of and do. You've thrown everything at me. And what baffles you is how come he's still standing? How come he's still holding on to Jesus? How come he still believes? After we've thrown, I mean, this guy we booted from pillar to post. This guy, Jason Burns, we have whacked him and whacked him and whacked him and whacked him till he's blue in the face, and yet he's still here. Why? Haven't we taken him out? Why does he still believe what he believes? That's the second fascination that you have with me. That's why Alex Bolton has been making his videos. That's why DPR Jones came on my hangout the other day. Because in his own head, he's not finished me off yet. In his own head, DPR Jones knows that I'm not finished off, that I'm not destroyed. And so he's like a shark hovering around the prey, thinking, I thought this guy, we got rid of this guy, but he's still around. What's it all about? That's why Alex Bolton continues his onslaught against me. It's because they can't get their head round that I believe in the Lord, and no matter what they've done to me, I'm still standing. So that's the end for today. I'm busy today, so yeah. So I made a response to you, Gary. I wish you all the best. I've never rated you, mate. I've never seen you as that important. You've never been important to me in my life. I will be praying for you, and I do wish you all the best. And I'm sure you'll make a video every now and again, giving me a little dig. But you're not on my radar. I don't see you as important. I don't see you as significant. I don't see you as a contender. I don't see you as an intellectual threat. I just see you as some guy who's got delusions of grandeur, who feels that he's some kind of professional philosopher, but who's got an inferiority complex. He really, really, really feels inferior. And to offset that inferiority, you use big words. Top academics don't do that. Those who know their topic really well don't do that. If you're really good at your topic, you don't use big words. You just keep it simple. That's the secret of being a top academic. The top academics, the best of the best. If you're the best solicitor, if you're the best barrister, you're the best physician, if you're the best artist, musician, they're humble people and they use simple language. But if you are full of yourself and arrogant, got delusions of your ability, you will use big language, you will use big words, and you will not you will not be the best in your field. That will be an indication that you're not the best in your field. And the fact that you do that, the fact that you use big words to confuse people, to give them the impression of your arguments are solid when they're not, the fact that you do that to someone who's good at their topic, they know that you're not the real deal. And I know that you're not the real deal. And anybody who's got an ounce of ability knows that you're not the real deal. And if you're going to be taken seriously, you need to start debating people and have a decent debates where people can test you and challenge your knowledge and challenge you in debate. And that goes for Ironra. With True Empiricism, it goes with Fiona Robertson, with Arcane. And if you don't want to debate, that's okay, because there's plenty of atheists out there who do want to debate, who will come out eventually out of the woodwork, and they will step up to the mark. There are not many of them, but they'll come, and we can have dialogue and discussion with them. But you can't ever say to a person they will never be this when they were, and you've got no right to say that about any individual. You know, someone who maybe at school, you know, they're not good at maths, or they're not good at English, you say to them, oh, you're never going to be a writer. You're never going to be a writer. You can't say that to a child. You don't know if that child's going to can grow up and put effort into their life and training and study and be a writer. You can't say that to anybody, mate. You can't say that to anybody. And yeah, so I think it's done and dusted now. So I wish you all the best, Gary, and I really do, mate. And you know, do some videos that don't use big language, don't use big words. Just keep the videos simple in your word language, and just write some articles, do some lectures on your YouTube channel, and have some hangouts where you invite people on to talk with you who take a different position from you, who are Christians, and engage. Just engage, mate. Um, that's my advice to you. And if you don't, and you want to use big words and hide behind it, that's up to you, mate. I just wish you all the best. I really do. All right, mate. Take care. And same to everybody else. Take care. God bless. That's it now. I'm resting for a few days. I've done 17 hours of Google Hangouts. I've had Nadia. I've had Lloyd Jones. Not Lloyd Jones. I've had Nadia. I've had DPR Jones. I've had Ryan Campbell. Christopher Mouty. John Dropout. Arcane. I've been with Arcane on the Google Hangout. True Empiricism. G-Man. Tommy. Alex Button, Fiona Robertson. We've had loads. The last 17 hours of Google Hangouts over the last week, over the week, we've had them all. So it's been an interesting week. 17 hours of Google Hangouts for you to go and watch. So I'm having a rest now for a few days. I've got a sermon to prepare. I'm preaching next week on Sunday, so I'm preparing a sermon, and I'm also leading a week of mission for the church that I go to. So the pastor wants me to organize a week of mission. That's a mission every day with to take the church out to mission. So today's planning day for that. So yeah, so wish you all the best. Thanks for everybody. Thanks for Panda Man and Thick Shades for making comments yesterday. I'm sorry that you guys and Richard Raspberry didn't get a chance to come on the show last night, but you know, I hope that you come on some other time. And yeah, we had Nephilim Free as well on a Google Hangout. So I mean, they've all come, and it's been great. It's been interesting, and I hope when Neph sends me links, I hope to go on his show sometime. So thanks for those invites, Neph. If I miss it, it's because I'm out or whatever. But if I can, I'll try and come. So that's it. So enjoy the day. I'm going to enjoy the day. I'm going to make myself a cup of tea, get on with this sermon, and then I'm going to do some planning. I'm going to drive round the estate where we're going to be doing the mission, looking for areas where we can go and reach out. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. So yeah, here's a couple of questions. How do you get rid of rats? I've got some rats at the back of the house, and so if anybody knows how to get rid of rats, we'd be very grateful. The other question, the other thing as well, I'm drawing a line about the past, and this is a message to Fiona Robertson, Cliff Jumper, Jim Gardner, Alex Borton. As far as I'm concerned, the past is the past. As far as I'm concerned, from my side, I forgive you guys, and it's forgotten. I'm never going to bring it up again. I brought it up a few videos recently on Google Hangouts because it's been the topic of stuff has been brought up. But I'm not going to mention anything again. As far as I'm concerned, it's forgiven and forgotten. To me, it's as if you've not said anything, you've not done anything. To me, you've forgiven, you've forgotten it, and it's a new day from my perspective. So I'm going to treat you as if you've never hurt me. All right? I'm just going to treat you as if you've never hurt me. So that's where I'm at, right? So that it's drawn under a line, and that's it for me. If you want to continue in the future, that's up to you, but I've drawn a line under it. from my end, my videos over the years were made against militant atheism, and I think Cliff Jumper, you don't understand that my issue was with militant atheism, not with atheism. My issue was always militant atheism, and I don't want anybody to confuse that I see the difference between militant atheism and atheism. The vast majority of atheists that I meet in real life are decent people. The issue that I had over the years was a militant atheism operating on the internet that was aggressive, and that is where I was coming at. Maybe I was wrong in the way I tackled that militant atheism, but that was what I was aiming my guns at, not atheism. And a certain type of atheist, that militant atheist. I've got no problem with the vast majority of atheists. When I say things about atheism, in my mind, I've got a particular type of atheist and group of atheists. It's a militant atheism. And often atheists get confused because they think that when I'm talking that I'm on about atheism. In my mind, when I'm talking about atheism, it's generally militant atheism most of the time. But there's a line in the sand for me, and those days are gone. You know, those days are gone. It's a new day for me, and you know, new day, new time of opportunity, new future, new things to do. I'm out a number of evenings now, and I'm in a routine with street preaching and street preacher friends, and you know, so things are on an even keel, and you know, there's complete healing now. That burst of crying, I think, was the last bit of the jigsaw, and I feel totally healed, totally back to who I was, and even better. And you can see it on my face. You can see what Jason's like on his face. I can't hide what I'm like. If I'm not happy, you can see it. If I'm happy, you can see it. And my face says it all. It's whole, it's wholesome, and it's happy, and it's content. Because I've come full circle, and I'm better than I was. I'm better than I ever was. So you're going to see a lot of me, but it's to be preaching, lecturing, and having YouTube channel, Google Hangouts, inviting people on to have conversation and discussion. And I'm looking forward to getting to know Tommy, who came on, Tommy Hall. I'm looking forward to getting to know Arcane and True Empiricism and G-Man and Veckel. I'm open to encourage Richard Raspberry and others. You know, I'm looking forward to spending time with Nadia. I'd like to develop the friendship with John McDropout and Christopher Mounty. I'd really like to do that. I know I've called them two-faced, but it's because I just wish you would have spoken out in the past. But if you can forgive me for that, I would really like to get to know you. I'd really like to build genuine friendships with you, and I'd really like to engage with you. It's just that it hurts me when you associate with people who've hurt me. I find that very hard to take, very hard to swallow. Maybe you don't mean anything by it, but it hurts me, and that's where that's where the saying two-faced comes from, because I'm hurt. But if you can get past that, and if you can forgive me for that, then I'd really like to. I'd really like to get to know you. I'd really like to be good friends with you. I mean, genuine friends. And that goes for others. It was good to have Xbox on last night. He's a great guy. And Kite, I think you're a lovely lady. You just hurt me by going on another channel, and it gave the impression, a wrong impression about me. But I'd like to get to know you. I'd like to get to know Nadia, and and others too, and develop friendships and stuff with other atheists too. You know, and there are some surprises. Atheism Defended. That guy just really surprised me. He made a lovely comment on one of my videos. And like I said, we're not on the same page, like on our beliefs. But I mean, I just really touched. But it made my day what he said. He made my day. He really made my day. I think so. Atheism Defended. Come on a Google Hangout with me sometime, bro, and we can chill out. I'm not saying we're gonna be, agreeing on everything. I'm not saying we're gonna agree on anything, but you're welcome on my Google Hangout anytime, bro. You know that, yeah? You can be a co-host on my channel anytime, all right? Anytime. You don't even have to ask. If you turn up, we got 10 people there, you can just take control, bro. You could say, I'm going to say, Atheism Defended's here. Go on, bro. You're in charge. You're in charge, yeah? So you got a special place on my Google Hangouts anytime you come. And so you could take that place anytime, yeah? I think the great lesson that we learned from all this video, for all of us, for every one of us, I think the great lesson that we can learn is it's not over till the fat person sings. Do you know what I mean? It's not over until it's over. That we're all on a journey. Yeah? We're all on a journey. And we go up and we go down in our journey. We go swimming well, and then we make mistakes, and we go well and we make mistakes. But it's not over till it's over. Nobody should write off anybody. Nobody should write off anybody. That's why I sent a link to Ran Campbell. That's why I sent a link to him. I'm just trying to offer him friendship. It's so easy to write people off if they make mistakes. Say, well, they've made a mistake, or they keep making mistakes, and that's it. They're finished. End of story. But you know something? God doesn't do that with us. God, when Moses murdered that Egyptian, the people of God wrote him off, said he was a waste of time. But God took him into the back part of the desert, told him that he was nothing, and then brought him to the burning bush and recommissioned him and said, go to my people. Humanly speaking, he was finished. Humanly speaking, he was finished. We think of Joseph, got sold by his brothers into human trafficking. So everybody would think, well, he's finished. He's over. He's gone. It wasn't over. He went through difficult times, but in the end, he became the Prime Minister of Egypt. And we think of Ruth in the book of Ruth. Naomi was married. She had 2 sons, and they married Moabite women, Ruth and Oprah. They had to leave Bethlehem and go to Moab because there was a famine. And Naomi's husband died, and her 2 sons died. And she was left with her 2 daughters-in-law, and she told them to leave. But Ruth said, no, where you go, I go. Your God is my God. So it seemed, from a human perspective, it was over for Naomi. She had no future. She had nothing. Yet one lady stayed with her, Ruth. And they came back to Bethlehem. And Ruth began to glean in the field, and she saw Boaz, who happened to be a relative of Naomi. And in the end, she married Boaz. and Boaz and her had a child. And Naomi, whose life was bitter before when she lost her husband, held up a child and saw that God was working in her life, that it was not over for her, that she had a future, that she had blessings. And that baby became the great, 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 great grandfather of the Lord Jesus Christ. And you could go on and on and on. In the time of our Lord, we have the disciples. He was with them for 3 years, and yet they never learned the lessons he taught them. From a human perspective, he could have said, it's over with you guys. Every time I teach you a lesson, you keep messing up. Every time I keep showing you the truth, you keep messing up. I'm done with you. I'm finished with you. But he didn't finish with them. He didn't throw them on the scrap heap. He didn't do that. He said no. And when Peter and the disciples scattered, when the Lord was arrested and crucified, when the Lord came back in the resurrection, he said to Peter, do you love me? Feed my lambs. And he said it to him 3 times. And Jesus restored Peter and put him back into the work and into the battle. The Apostle Paul, a man who murdered Christians and killed Christians, and yet God called him to be his disciple, called him to be his servant. We think of Timothy, who was timid, and Paul had to say, we're of a sound mind. Telling him he needed to be bold. Paul didn't give up on him. And then the argument between Barnabas and Paul about Mark. Paul wouldn't take Mark with him. He thought that Mark was, he basically made a mistake, Paul. He gave up on Mark, believed that Mark didn't have it in him to be a missionary. Gave up on him. Barnabas wouldn't. Mark became a great man of God. He became the man who wrote the Gospel of Mark. We think of church history, and Athanasius. I think 4 or 5 times he was kicked out of his bishopric. 4 or 5 times the Iranians had him ousted out of his bishopric. And each time the church that had been taken over by Iranianism basically would look upon Athanasius as finished. That was it. He would never be an archbishop again. He would never have a leadership role again. But he came back 5 times. 5 times they kicked him out. 5 times they knocked him down. And 5 times he came back. 4 or 5 times. See, it's not over till it's over. William Carey, the great bishop, the great missionary, Baptist missionary, he said, in England, he said, I want to go and reach the people for the gospel around the world. And everybody said, no, you can't do it. He didn't have an education. He wasn't clever. He wasn't smart, but he had this vision, and they weren't encouraging him. But he studied. He studied different languages. He got ready, and he won some support. And he went to India, and he became one of the great missionaries of all time. But when he first started off, nobody saw the potential in him. People wrote him off and said, no, he can't do that. He was a cobbler. He can't be a missionary. He can't go and translate the Bible in different languages. He's uneducated. Gladys Awood, a small lady, applied to go to many missionary societies, and they refused her point blank. In the end, she packed her bags and she went as an independent missionary to China. And it was the time of the Japanese-Chinese War. And she took hundreds of children out of an orphanage, away from the battle lines of the Japanese soldiers, over the mountains to safety. But in her day, when she started off, she was written off as, she can't do it. She'll never be a missionary. We're not going to have her in our missionary society. And I think of Campbell J. Morgan. Is it here? I think of this guy, J. Campbell Morgan, one of my great heroes. One of my great heroes. One of my great heroes. This guy applied to be a preacher in the Methodist Church. Yeah. And he was rejected. They wouldn't want him. He was about 17, 18 years of age. He was a young man, and they rejected him. They didn't want him as a minister. They didn't want him as a pastor. They didn't want him. And he wired his father, and his father said to him, he wired rejected to his dad. And his dad sent a message back. Rejected by men, accepted in heaven. And Campbell Morgan became one of the great preachers of the early 20th century. He became a minister eventually of Westminster Chapel, where my other hero, Dr. Martin Lloyd-Jones, became a minister. And Campbell Morgan was a great expository preacher, preaching the word of God faithfully. You see, what we learned today is that God is a God of second chances. That God is a God of restoration. That God doesn't leave us on the scrap heap. When people say, well, that person's made a mistake, or that whatever is finished, it's over, they'll never be a pastor again. They'll never be this again. They'll never be that again. God doesn't work like that. God is a restorer. God takes the foolish things of this world to confound the mighty. He takes those who the world has written off and said, no, the world says, oh, waste of time, finished. God takes those people and he makes something out of them. I don't know what the future holds, but I know that God is doing that with me. And I'm a testimony to his grace. And I'm a testimony to his love. I'm a testimony to his power. I'm a testimony to his kindness. I'm a testimony to that he is a living God, and that he is at work, and that he is working in my life. And I want you to be encouraged as a Christian that whatever mistakes you've made, whatever failings you've had, or whatever setbacks you've had, it's not over. That God has a future for you. God has a purpose for you. God will guide you and he'll bless you. And he will use you mightily for his glory in his time. And I want to say to all my fans out there, and I have a couple of hundred fans, hardcore J-Bo fans, I want to say to all of you, you've seen my journey. You've seen it. You've seen all the warts and all the failings. You've seen it all. It's been a long journey. It's been an up and down journey. You've seen it all. I just want to say to you that you've seen the better side of that journey. And I hope that you come and enjoy that journey with me. Because there's more to the story of J-Bo yet to come. There's more to the story and the adventure with J-Bo. You've had many laughs with me. You've got angry at me. You've got upset with me. You've been concerned about me. You've had all the different highs and lows of your emotions with J-Ball. I want to say that journey is going to continue. But there'll be better days. We'll have laughs. We'll have our ups and downs. But I'd encourage you to come on that journey with me. See where the J-Ball train goes next and what happens. And you're invited, every single one of you, are invited to my journey. To see where I'm led, to see what I do, to see what God does with me, to see how I change, to see how I grow. Because it's all a growing process at the end of the day. We're all just growing and changing and developing. And if you want to see how I'm developing, how I'm changing, how I'm growing, if you want to see my journey, then please come. You're welcome to be involved in that journey. All right. So I'm going to get on now. I'm way over time. Should have been getting on with this sermon. And I've got to do a bit of driving around this estate for a few minutes to find a decent couple of places to do evangelism. And I wish everybody the best. I wish all my fans the best. The hardcore fans, which is, I think there's about 200 hardcore J-Ball fans out there. And I just wish you all the best. And drop me a line and let me know what's going on. And I'll see you in the future, yeah? Watch out, we'll do quite a few Google Hangouts next week, various topics, so watch out for your invites. Watch out for lectures and sermons all over the place on different YouTube channels. And enjoy, all right? Have a good day and God bless you. That's it for me. Take care now.